Dun, 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 dun,
Welcome,
dun.
everybody, back to Before Floor. I am your host, Jonathan Ramlakan, with a different shade of tan today, and we are going to talk Miami Heat basketball. I guess people are saying in the comments that we're having problems with the audio. I'm not sure if that's still the case. If it is, we apologize, and you probably can't even hear me. And if it isn't, welcome back to Before Floor. Anyway, so I got my man Alejandro, got my man Timmy in here today. Timmy wearing the Tyler Hero birthday jersey today. Showing off
Jordan. The man has turned Jordan. I expect great things tonight. The Jordan year.
Listen, Jordan year means you have to hit at least one 3-pointer, which he has not been able to do over the last.
Look at the fit. When you turn 23 in Miami, this is the fit you come to the game with.
Okay, well, I turned 23 in South Florida, and I was probably wearing this exact same gray shirt at dinner with my parents. So not the same type of thing.
Tyler is a recent dad, so he had to blow some steam.
This is true. So Tyler here, maybe living a little bit better, but that's besides the point. We're on here. Excited to talk about Heat basketball because I don't know about you guys. I've actually been enjoying the product that has been on the floor over the last couple of games.
Very fun.
It's looked a lot better. You can credit that to Victor Oladipo. You can credit that to Gabe Vincent coming back. You can credit to Bam, Tyler, Jimmy, all these guys. And obviously no Duncan and Orlando Robinson. That does another thing too. But before we get to tonight's game against the Mavericks, which is on prime time, by the way, it's national TV, which is very exciting because everyone gets to hear people talk. People that have not watched the Heat talk about the Miami Heat for a good 2.5 hours. We love that around here. It sounds amazing every time compared to the greatness of Eric Reed and John Carty. So, Timmy, I want to ask you this. The Heat, obviously, they've been playing better basketball. Would you say with what you've seen from this team, I don't know where you were expectations-wise before the season, would you say at this point you're considering them in that contender bracket in the Eastern Conference, or is it still they have one or two more pieces that they need for this squad?
So the Heat have done well with always staying on the brink. We've learned in this new day and age with injuries, things that happen so quickly. You could go from being a 6 seed to a 2 seed in a week with injuries. When I think of true contenders, there's always like a group of 5 or 6 every season, and even though the Heat are never in that 5 or 6. Heat are always in that 9 to 12. And that's what's so important, what I want Heat fans to understand. When we had LeBron, we were always in the top 3, and there's a lot of fans who became Heat fans in that period, or basketball fans in general, because LeBron has birthed a generation of basketball fans. I've been a Heat fan from Caron Butler, so 2002. The Heat have always stayed in that 9 to 12 range, which is in a team of 30. A league of 30. That's pretty good. Like we have always seen, say for the tank years, the bad years, injury years, those 2 years, Heat have always been competitive. As a fan of competitive sports, I never got the Lex Luthor time thing. I don't want to watch that. I play fantasy basketball for fantasy. I watch actual basketball for competitive basketball. So no, I don't consider them a contender, but I always expect them to stay in the 9 to 12 range. And they're starting to look at, again, we've seen the defensive rating is up, the rebounding is up. Jimmy is the top 10 player when he's on the floor, which has been the problem in Miami when he's on the floor. But no, man, I always expect this team to compete. And we at least see in this last, I guess, maybe from Christmas, I'd say these 3 weeks, they have a heart. Like sometimes we will question this team's grit in their heart. Like, where has it gone? Like, is it to the point where they're just tired of each other? I still think the team as a whole has not really recovered from that COVID, the COVID itself, those in and out, and the actual bubble and the year before the bubble. I still think the team itself hasn't caught a break. But again, the way you catch a break is losing in the first round, and I don't want that, So it's But I love it, man. Like you said, even the guys, the teams are saying it's fun. It's fun to watch the squad again. It's good to see Victor taking cookies and saying I'm back and I'm him. Like, fun seeing the Tyler and Bam connection. It's fun just seeing Gabe, especially speaking to Gabe personally when he sit down when he's here for the training camp, just talk to him like his expectations. Like he was like, last year was the most basketball I've ever played in my life. Both he and Shrew said that. So maybe what we saw in the first half of the season was their fatigue. They played the most basketball ever last year. And then they had the summer off, but they really have it off. Like it still was some hoops there. So I think these last weeks has told us just to relax, like trust the team a little bit more. But no, to answer your question one more time, they aren't contenders, but the Heat are always in the mix.
I think that's a good way to put it. I personally would be very surprised if we saw this team pass the second round. Honestly, you could even say pass the first round. As currently constructed, just that's my own belief. If you disagree, by all means, go ahead. I welcome any debate on that. But I think the Heat have given you a much better product, and a product that fans want to watch because they have kind of found that identity a little bit, especially with Depot and Gabe being on the floor, where they're going to defend you at all three levels, and they're going to make sure that their mark is made on that end of the floor, which has been really fun. They're still really not a good offensive team. There's moments where they're pretty good, and they do some good things, but they're still not a really good shooting team. Their star players kind of operate in the same spaces, so it makes it a little bit clunky.
The fit is so weird.
Yeah, there's definitely flaws with this team that we can attribute to a lot of the struggles early on and some of the struggles that we'll maybe see later on. But for tonight, the Heat are on a roll. They're playing good basketball, and they're at Dallas. Our man Marco Romo is at the game, credentialed, so shout out to Marco. Don't think he's going to be joining the pregame show tonight, but the Mavs are pretty solid.
He's on the game. So I let the boss see his tweets. He's at the game.
Yeah, so definitely look out for at Marco_Romo. Look out his tweets. He's most definitely a knower of ball. But Dallas against Miami. This has been one of my favorite regular season games to track over a long period of time, just by virtue of the finals history that these teams have with each other. The fact that they were linked to Goron before, and now for some reason people are trying to link Luka to Miami in 2027 in the media. But the Mavs are a fun team to watch, in my opinion, because of Luka Doncic. And Timmy, I'm going to ask you this question. We know Luka's great. We know the Heat are going to switch everything. We know Luka doesn't really have that much help. Obviously, there are players that are potent offensively for them. But I think they're missing Christian Wood. It's really Spencer Dinwiddie, Timmy.
Timmy is confirmed playing tonight. He was going to miss the game.
Playing tonight,
of course, he's going to play where his father used to play and hang 35 points on the Miami Heat while auditioning to play for the Miami Heat. Of course,
exactly. But Timmy, my question to you is, what is their approach with Luka? Because we know he can eviscerate any defensive game plan that you throw at him, but the Heat simultaneously also do play statistically the best defense against Luka in his career. He struggles against the Heat. Maybe the Mavs don't struggle against the Heat, but he struggles against the Heat. So what shout out to Marco
again? He is 30% for his career against the Heat.
30%
from the field.
The field?
Yes, Marco tweeted earlier today for his career.
Gosh.
Wow. I think the answer to your question is the switching, like bodies. Like shout out to that movie last year, bodies. Like he just always switch. You will not get a glimpse of airspace. You will not breathe. You will be ran ragged. Just keep switching, man. You know.
Mm-hmm. I think one of the things that he have done over the years, just against better ball handlers in general, but players who are also potent scoring offensively, is don't be surprised if you see them pressuring Luka the minute he touches the ball past like the opposite 3-point line. Like there's going to be pressure on him, I think, at half court, just in order to slow their offense down, make him work every single possession. And like Timmy said, they're going to be throwing bodies at him left and right. And that's honestly kind of the way that you shut down stars. Like there is no such thing as one-on-one lockdown defense. And if there is, it's coming from number 13 wearing a Miami Heat jersey. But it's really hard to be that type of a defender in this day and age with all these schemes and all these switches and zones and all this different stuff, all the different coverages. You're not just manning up. But the Heat are going to make things so hard on Luka. So I'm excited to watch that part of the matchup tonight. Timmy, what's one thing that you're expecting from the Miami Heat tonight going into this game, offensively or defensively?
So I wanted to bring up Anthony Chang's message because the Heat have already used 1,137 zone possessions this season. That's a record for the most zone ever played in an NBA season. Do you know what the record was before that? 1,053 zone possessions. And who
was it the Heat last year?
In 2018, 2019.
Oh, okay.
So based on information, yeah, plenty zone. Plenty zone. I expect plenty zone, even though we're going to do a lot of switching against the Mavericks. I expect plenty zone as a team.
listen, I'm with it. I don't really know if the Mavs have all that much shooting with their current roster construction. So go ahead, try out the zone. If it works, great. If not, switch. That's the good thing with the Heat. They can kind of play a little bit of those different coverages. The only thing they really don't play is drop that much. And I think that's just, why would you want Bam dropping when Bam can do so many other things at such higher levels? It's kind of ridiculous. But feel like we've kind of, I don't really know other things that you're expecting from this matchup before we get to predictions here, Timmy.
As I always say, it's Bam season. He's been eating for like a month now, especially with Christian Wood is going to be more. Because they really got what Dwight Powell, Bertans, like who really else has a big body for that team right now? Nobody.
Luka, like that's the only guy.
Right.
Speaking of Luka, we're gonna go ahead and get to our prize picks before we get to the possessions or the predictions here. Luka Doncic is the free square tonight at 0.5 points. So you would have to be crazy to not play Luka Doncic's square tonight. Go ahead to Prize Picks, use promo code 5. You're going to get a 100% match on your deposit up to $100. So you can go ahead. You can throw $200 on a Luka Doncic play if you want to. You just have to make sure that you play that with something else. So if we can go ahead and get to the Miami Heat here. There's Bam Adebayo. So, Timmy, Bam Adebayo, over or under 21.5 points?
Like I said, he's going to eat. Yeah, there's nobody in his way. Let's go off a bit. He gets into foul trouble. That's actually interesting because he's going to switch a lot onto Luka.
Over.
Yeah, I'm thinking too much. Over, even though he's going to.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm thinking too much. Yeah, over.
So, yeah, we got Bam. We got Luka. Now, Jimmy at 20.5. Are you going over or under on that number?
That man likes to play well against Slovenians.
Over?
Yeah.
Okay.
I expect. Did you see the report that eventually Luka's going to come to Miami? I don't believe that, but it's just interesting to see that. Like if Jimmy can.
I think eventually everyone is going to come to Miami. It's just I don't know if they're going to be wearing Heat jerseys or if they're going to be wearing like shirts to go out. Who knows? That's for them to decide. Obviously, I would love to see Luka playing in Miami. It's just it's way too early to even try to speculate about any one of those things. The Mavs have like 3 different builds that they're going to try before they even consider letting Luka go.
Facts.
That's the type of player that you supermax him every day for the rest of his life until he retires from the NBA. So, yeah, I don't know. Outside of that, like I really think those are the 3 Prize Picks plays that you guys would need to play for tonight. You can power play that, you can flex play that, where if 2 of 3 of them hit, you're still making money on it. Power play 20 to win 100 plus 500 odds. You really cannot go wrong. Betting on Bam, betting on Jimmy, and you got a free square on Luka to make some good coin on your Friday nights. So, Timmy, predictions for this game before we wrap up.
The Mavs have been on a good winning streak, and people didn't realize that streak came with Wood being inserted into the lineup with this versatility. Without Wood and just a steady diet of McGee and Powell, I think this is going to be a close game to start. But he would break it open as Luka wears down and the others. And so I expect a Timmy Hardaway killer game. Luka will be tied by the third, fourth quarter, but the Heat win the fourth.
Honestly, that sounds about right. I don't know if the Heat are going to be able to pull away in the third quarter. Hopefully they do in that fourth quarter, but I think we'll see another pretty solid through and through Heat performance. I feel like they're just playing better basketball. I know I said that against Atlanta, and they did lose against Atlanta, but my confidence in this team has gone up a little bit over the last couple of weeks. So we'll just get to some of the questions here from people. Shout out Tiff L. Shout out Christopher Chen. Tiff L saying, is everyone available to play? Timmy, do we know if anyone is out for the Heat? I'm pretty sure everyone's fine, right?
Earlier, I did see where they said this is a very light injury report.
It's just the guys that have been hurt.
So
Duncan,
it's
Jovic.
So Duncan and Jovic. Haslam was probably with the Achilles, and Kane got called up from the G League. Speaking of Kane, he had 63 points and 23 rebounds in 2 games.
Listen, energy guys go crazy in the G. That's all I'll say. I watched Chris Sova. I think he put up like 36 and 20-something with the Timberwolves one time. So things just happen in the G League. I wouldn't read too much into it, but I do like Jamal Cain. And Christopher Chen, last question before we go to player interviews here. Would Dedmon for Ibaka be enough?
Contract-wise, I believe it is.
Dedmon makes more than Ibaka. So we'd be saving money there.
Yeah.
But simultaneously speaking, I don't know. Think the Bucks are gonna try to take on money for Dwayne Dedmon.
Well, technically, it's only like if they. I don't know if it's a personal thing why Ibaka isn't playing, but Dedmon might be more comfortable riding the bench in the Bucks team that has championship aspirations.
Listen,
I don't see.
Do they
I
have
don't.
Theraguns in Milwaukee?
Pardon?
Do they have Theraguns in Milwaukee?
hide the Theraguns. hide the Theraguns if Devin gets there. But that is interesting though. The Ibaka thing because they do need a backup big. And I was wondering why Ibaka was gone so long for personal reasons, but it came out today that the personal reasons were moving away. They want to.
He probably woke up one day and realized he lived in Milwaukee.
I live in Wisconsin.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. So I don't know. Personally, I'm not super high on Ibaka, but simultaneously, beggars cannot be choosers. I would love to give things a try. If you're saving money, go ahead.
Because if they do the Dedmon for Ibaka swap, that frees up enough money under the cap to fill the last roster spot.
Yeah. That is a good point. So if you can save money, yes, but I don't think the Bucks would be incentivized to just
take on that extra million.
Yeah, take more money with a player that isn't going to make a difference for them at all. So I don't know, but I think it definitely is something to consider. And the last question, SSJ Lanky said, "Is Jovic actually injured? Or are we reporting that so he can't be traded?"
He's injured for like 3 months now. Yeah, he has a serious back issue.
Yeah, like the back thing for him, I don't think is something new. Like even when he was in the G League, he was missing 1 or 2 games there just because.
Just to be technical, it's a stretch reaction, which is basically like a crack in the bone. Like that's a serious injury.
Yeah, so I don't think it's just that they're holding him out. So
they're announcing for 4 weeks. So it was a month minimum.
Yeah. So eventually, I think Jovic will be back. Will he make the rotation? TBD. Don't know what to tell you there.
Unless we really clear out the rotation for like a impact player, I don't see.
Yeah. So I don't see that happening. But that's besides the point. We got Heat, Mavs basketball at 7:30 Eastern time tonight on TNT or ESPN. I'm not sure.
Exactly. Today is Friday, which means it must be ESPN.
Okay, ESPN. Yeah. Timmy knows more than I do, so take Timmy's word for it. And that's it for us today. Shout out to everyone in the comments for showing out.
To the birthday boy. Happy birthday tonight.
Happy birthday.
He has to go off. He has to.
Okay, on a scale from 1 to 10, how many threes is he hitting tonight?
5.
Fair. I'm with that. There you go. Can't argue with that outfit. So everyone have a great night. Go Heat. And Alejandro with the player interviews. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I think more than anything, it was a good collective response, to our disappointing game in Atlanta. And the starters really set the tone for the tenor of the game. Really, just with the activity defensively, there were a lot of deflections and steals, and then a great deal of assertiveness offensively. The things that we talked about, like really establishing the paint, rim, free throws, that was happening early on, so we were able to control the game. And then the second unit came in and just continued that energy and effort, and that's what we've been talking about is playing to our identity and getting contributions from both units inspiring the other. And second unit was terrific tonight as well. Max obviously had 10 assists, his career high probably at any level. And they just, really inspiring to be able to keep those leads and then to be able to carry that on in the fourth quarter as well.
37 assists kind of a sign of how well things are going, the execution on the offensive end. Is that one of that number?
Yeah, the guys were making the right reads and not trying to overcomplicate things. If somebody was open, we hit the open guy. That doesn't mean you're always going to make the shot, but sometimes you can make it a lot harder than it needs to be. This was just a very simple game plan. Execute a trigger and create an advantage and make the right read and whatever was best, for the team and the possession at that time. Nobody was really, trying to self-will anything during the course of the game. And it's from a head coaching standpoint, it's nice to see a team really compete defensively and then share in the game offensively.
The starters have been good pretty much all season. Tonight they were a continuation of that. But what have you liked about what's clicked with that group in the limited time you've been playing?
Yeah, I just want to see it through. You know, I'm as curious as anybody, and I think we owe it to that group, you know, to give them an opportunity to gain some continuity. But tonight, you know, they set the tone for the game, and that was on both ends of the court. There was, like I said, at the point of attack, we were very good. We had a presence to us. We were physical. We were active. Tyler had a bunch of deflections in the first quarter. Kyle had deflections and steals. Bam was terrific in all the different coverages. And then offensively, you know, those early attacks and the pressure on the rim and the paint and getting to the free throw line were all very good things to be able to try to control a game on the road.
How much of the bench unit success was the fact that you guys had to start right away? Some of those guys that were starting before kind of fall back into
Yeah, you know, I think what I like about our group is the starters understand, you know, how important the second unit is, but also what they've had to sacrifice. You know, when some of the starters have been out, our bench guys have stepped into that starting unit and played it extremely well. You know, and they're all humans. You know, if you're playing great, and then starters come back, and then you're asked to sacrifice and come off the bench, that's not easy for anybody. But it takes both sides, you know, having that grace, you know, that support, that understanding, and knowing what our ultimate goal is, that everybody has to play a role. You have to sacrifice a little bit, but we need both units playing well, you know, particularly to win on the road.
So for the fourth straight game, it's just been utter domination in the paint. What have you liked about the way that you guys are not just getting yours, but also being a deterrent for the other team in the same space?
Yeah, I mean, defensively, that's what we set out to do. It's easier said than done, but we want to control the paint defensively and try to prevent teams from getting easy baskets in this league. And then offensively, you know, Kyle, Jimmy, Tyler, Bam were all like incredibly assertive, you know, right from the start of the game. And that's the kind of mentality we have to have. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to end up in one of those things, because we made the right plays as well. If there was help defenders there, we just made the easy play to an open guy. But we have to be assertive at the point of attack. We have to put pressure on the paint at the rim.
So Kyle had solid production for 22 minutes. How much of his workload was based on how the game went or how he felt?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't need to play him in the fourth, so I didn't try to force it. But his minutes, particularly in that first half, were really good. You know, he was a big contributor of setting the tone on both ends. You know, right out of the gate, you know, you want to set the tone for the game on the road. He had an early steal on a post-up, and a couple other physical defensive possessions, and he had 2 early attacks before the defensive was set, and that just kind of set the tone for everybody else to do something similar.
Bam now leads the NBA in guards. What does that say about just kind of
I love it. Yeah, I love it. We all love the aggressiveness, and he's doing it in so many different ways. You know, I thought all the different pick and roll coverages that they did, we were making the right reads, but we ultimately want to get Bam involved as much as possible. We can't get the ball to him enough. And that's not just clearing out a side of the floor and trying to post him up. It takes a collaboration. There has to be a synchronicity of pick and roll basketball, but we don't want to go too many possessions where we haven't tried to get him the ball. And you know, he's great at getting all the way to the rim, and he was doing that tonight. But his paint shots, you know, right in the circle, that's such a go-to shot for him, and that's a credit to the work that he's put in. You know, particularly against drop coverages, to really be so efficient. You know, in those low 12, 14 foot shots. All right, thank you.
good to be on the other side of being up or down 20 for a change. Maintaining our lead, getting an important win on the road, and just playing overall good basketball.
Just the 15th time that they intended first five together in nearly 50 games. Should this be the expectation of what it looks like if everybody's in the spot that was at least planned when you all came into it?
It should be. I think we're a very good team whenever we're healthy. That's just part of the game. That's just part of the league. But as long as everybody's comfortable, everybody's accepting their role and playing it to the T, which we are, we're a really good basketball team. So we're gonna build on this one.
Is it your focus is defensively to be as disruptive as you can on the other end, particularly with easy baskets, but to do what you guys have done over the last four, just being so dominant, separating in points in the paint, it has to be something that you'd love to just keep building.
Yes, we pride ourselves on getting 2 feet in the paint, finishing at the rim, getting fouled or kicking out to our three-point shooters, moving that ball around, sharing that basketball, and we've been doing it well as of late. But I think it's always going to be on the defensive end. Whenever we're guarding, we look so much better as a team, and whenever we let our defense dictate our offense, we're trouble for a lot of different people.
How does Kyle make your job and everybody's job easier in the starting lineup when he's out there?
Kyle's smart. He's always seeking out matchups that he wants to get guys involved in, or he knows who has to have the ball. Obviously, he can shoot the ball incredibly well, but he's making sure everybody's in the right spots on both offense and defense. And then just his energy, how fun he makes the game, how he's always smiling. We needed that back.
Bam leads the NBA now in paint points. I mean, what does that say about just his growth offensively and just his assertiveness this season to get to this spot?
I mean, that's tough. Good for him as well, but as good as it is for him, I think it just goes to show how we are making it a focus to make sure that he gets the ball when he's in the paint, especially because he's scoring at an incredibly high rate. And I think he's doing a good job of setting screens, getting down in transition, doing it in a multitude of ways. We got to continue giving him the ball because we need him to be dominant like that.
To have just another opportunity. It's only 15 in almost 50 games of having the intended group that rolls out together. We're starting to get a vibe that if all things can be a little bit better from a physical standpoint, that's what it'll look like.
Yeah, I mean, I think we just came out and we played extremely hard. I think we set the tone early with the transition, getting stops, and kind of playing off our defense. Whenever our defense is great, our offense is going to always be better. But I mean, we got a talented group, and I think we understand. Jimmy, Bam, Tyler, they're going to be our guys, and me and Caleb, we got to be out there and just trying to wreak havoc on the defensive end and getting those guys easy looks and getting those guys shots, and that's what we did tonight.
How critical is it? Almost 18 turnovers that they're not empty, that you're able to get down and produce and create. I think it was 24 points.
Yeah, it was great. We're a team that forces turnovers. We try to get more shots on goal, and the way we do that is by creating turnovers. And when you can kind of finish the turnovers, it's really makes life a little easier.
Yeah, you guys have been so dominant over the last few games. I know you're coming back in this one, but just the team overall, from what you saw, from what you experienced today, with points in the paint specifically, and creating such a massive gap between you and your opponents lately.
Well, it helps when you got Bam. He'll be an all-star. He should be an all-star, and he will be, I think. And his production has been unbelievable in that range of 13 to 4 feet. He's been unbelievable, not missing shots and just kind of finishing. And then Tyler, Vic, Caleb getting to the paint. Gabe getting in the paint and finishing. We're just kind of putting a barrage on the rim, and even Orlando finishing on the pick and roll.
How beneficial was that time away for you, and how did you feel physically out there in your minutes?
It was good to get myself right. My knee's been a little bit, bothering me for a while, so it was good to get back. But, just being able to watch the team and figure out what I can do to contribute and try to help as best I can.
You feel like that issue is behind you, or is that something that you're going to have to continue?
I feel good. I feel pretty good right now, and hopefully it doesn't, reoccur, and we just kind of build on that and keep the body and the body right and keep the mind sharp.
Yeah, and you look fresh and very involved when in the 22 minutes that you played. Did you feel that way?
I felt good. I think, like I said, our defense creates our whole mantra in our team. Once we get going on our defensive end, offensively, things just flow and pop. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
High at any level. Is that accurate?
Man, I've never passed the ball that much in my life. That's the truth. I've never even been close to it. No. Yeah.
But it helps, obviously. You guys had a season high 37 overall. You get almost a fourth of those. And Bam did note in his post-game interview that he makes your life easier in that way, but you got to give it to him, right?
Of course he took credit. Yeah, of course he did. But no, everybody made shots. I told Deadman, like halfway through the game, I was like, I'm just passing the ball and people are making shots. Like, I don't know, it was easy. But, yeah, I just found people at the right time and just made the right play.
What was it that triggered with you all? Is it simply what happened in Atlanta that we're coming out, we're going to come out with full focus and full fire, and we're not stopping?
Yeah, I mean, that's heat basketball that we know. That was prime, us at our best. So hopefully we can keep that momentum. And obviously we had a bad taste in our mouth after the last game, but that's fun. That's a great way to play basketball, and that's when we're all at our best.
It was just one game. It was against a shorthanded team, but this is kind of a sign of what you guys can be when they're healthy, when guys are in their usual roles and starting lineup is together, bench rotation is together.
Absolutely. Yeah, we knew it was going to take time to figure it out, but now that guys are getting healthy, we play like that every night. We're going to put ourselves in a good chance to win every single game. So hopefully we can keep that going.
Do you remember your previous career hiatuses?
Maybe, yeah. I might have had seven or eight, maybe in college. I don't even know. Yeah, no, it's never been 10 though. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Take it.
All right.
Thank you, buddy.
Thank you.